Welcome to part 3 of my iLogic view representations blogs. Congratulations to the faithful who are still sticking in here. So far we've looked at automatically creating your view representations with iLogic, automatically updating them, and now in part 3 we're going to look at an automatic check so that you don't have to manually or remember in your head whether your view reps need updating. You can have that automatically be checked for you and give you a prompt to update if required. I'm going to get us up to a point where we've got our view reps created. I won't explain what I'm doing here. If this isn't familiar to you from my previous blogs, then please check those out. So I'll just bring up the form here. I'm going to create a view rep with part numbers containing P. And I'm going to create one with part numbers beginning with 2. Okay, so these view reps have been created. They're all working correctly. Let's take a look at the new iLogic rules then. We've got to check for whether an update's required. So let's go to our rules in the browser here. So here's our create rules, update rules, and check for update rules. Again, we've got a check for update rule for contains view reps and one for begins view reps. So we want it to automatically check. So for that, we're going to have to use a event trigger. So if we go to the Manage tab in the browser here and to Event Triggers, plenty of information online for event triggers and how to set them up. We've actually set our check for updates rules, both of them, to run before the document is saved. Okay, so it should check in the background for us every time we save our document to see whether the view reps need updating or not. Okay, so now if I save my file, I'm going to hit save up here. The part needs saving, the assembly needs saving because we've created some new view reps, but nothing out of the ordinary is going on here. We're not getting any prompts coming up or anything like that. The reason I mention this is that anyone who's been working with iLogic or setting up some company rules or forms will probably be familiar with how annoying iLogic prompts can be, prompting you to enter various things, and oftentimes they're not even required. So my aim with this was to keep it completely in the background and just give you the option to hit yes if you want to update, if an update's required. And if an update isn't required, then you never notice it. So these rules should take about half a second to run in the background. They should be very, very quick and virtually, completely unobtrusive. So let's do something that is going to mean that we need an update to be performed. So these wheels, let's find one of these wheels in the browser. So all I'm doing here, if this isn't clear on the video, I know my menus don't come up a lot of the time. I'm just clicking right click and find in browser here. So click find in browser and I've found one of those wheels. So let's just say we've got an iLogic program on here that is suppressing various different wheels and switching wheels and so on and so forth. Might be replacing a wheel or something. So I'm going to right click on this wheel and then I'm going to click selection close to the top and select all occurrences. Okay, so that's selection and select all occurrences. And now if I right click again if this isn't clear, I'm just right clicking and I'm now going down to suppress all of these occurrences. Okay, so all of those wheels have been suppressed. They may be replaced with something else, but we're not too worried about that. All we can see is that those are suppressed with our iLogic or manually, whatever method we're using. And now our rule, as these have P in the file name, now our rule contains P, our view rep contains P, is going to need an update. So when we click save now, we're hoping that that prompt box is going to come up. So if I hit save now, you can see how quickly that comes up. It's going to say the view rep containing P needs updating. Do I want to update all of my contains view reps now? So I've got a choice of yes or no. And when it says contains view reps, it means any view rep that begins with the word contains. So you can manually create these if you want, but it has to begin with contains or begins. So if I hit yes, then what we will expect, as that alloy wheel was a subcomponent, we would expect our 51 subcomponents visible here to go down to 47, if my maths is correct. So 51 minus 4, 47, with those 4 wheels suppressed. So if I click yes, that's the only change we expect here, and that's going to run that in the background and update that for me. Okay, so quantity at the top level is the same. Now we've got 47 subcomponents in there, and it's going to tell us that one view rep has been updated. And then obviously we go through to our save dialog box because we hit save before. Okay, so we can see that suppression works fine. If I hit save again now, then we'll see that we don't get the dialog box coming up again because it's already been updated. Everything's up to date on here, so we'll just save as normal. So that was suppression. If I take a copy of one of these, if I hit Control C on one of these mirrors, so we've just got some other components that are being added in here, then we're going to expect, because this mirror has P in it, in the file name, we're going to expect if I hit save now, hit yes to this typical dialog box, then it's going to tell me that the view rep containing P needs updating again. Do I want to update it? Well, yes, I'll update it, and we'll expect our top level components to go up to about 30 there, as I've copied and pasted several components in there. So that's successfully worked. One view rep has been updated, so that's all fine. You notice we haven't got a prompt to update our begins view rep. That's because nothing that begins with 2 has actually been changed here. So the same principle applies for that. We won't go through that again, but one thing I'll show you is that you can make manual changes to your view reps here. If I decide, for instance, that I don't want components that begin with 2 in here, I actually want components that begin with, let's say begin with 1. Then all the update rule is doing is going by what name this view rep is called, the name of this view rep. So if I change it to 1 there, the update rule will effectively recreate this view rep based on that 1, and work through it all again. So if I hit save, we should get a prompt. The view rep containing parts beginning with 1 needs updating. So do I want to update all the begins view reps now? So there's only one begins view rep, but as long as your view rep begins, with either begins text or contains, and is in this format, it would have to be spelled correctly and it'd have to be in this format, then the update rules and the update check will work on them correctly. Okay, so I'll update the begins view rep, and we'll expect completely different results as we've switched it to parts beginning with 1. Okay, so 1 view rep's been updated. Those mirrors are still included in the in the view rep as they begin with 1. So this is all good. You're perfectly free to use either the contains method or the begins method for your view reps, or both. The rules will work completely independently of each other. The other thing I'd recommend, if I go to the Forms tab here, if you do put your rules on a form like I've got here, perhaps if you put the check rule, so the check for update rules, if you put them on an event trigger like I've done here, then perhaps you can get rid of these update buttons here and just have that automatically prompted for you before you save every time, so that you don't have to manually click update here. Okay, that's the end of our 3-part series on iLogic view reps. I hope you found this very helpful and it can be of some use to you. Please email me at the address on my blog if you have any questions, or if you can see any other applications for this. One thing we'd ask is that if you do take this code and modify it, then please also share your iLogic wisdom online so that the inventor community can benefit. Okay, thanks very much for listening. Have an excellent day.